Greetings, denizens of the internet. You can call me Nitro Indigo, and over the past few months I've been on a paleontology kick. Recently, I've been planning a graphic novel called Twilight of the Beasts, a prehistoric fantasy. Set 252 million years ago during the worst mass extinction in history, it tells the story of two Inostrancevia puppies named Medi and User. Driven from their home in Siberia by increased volcanic activity, they're on a journey south with their mother to reach what amounts to an underground bunker where all the synapsids are staying. What's a synapsid? I'll let Sunny Boy explain.
Dimetrodon belonged to an animal group called synapsids, which includes the ancestors of all mammals.
Unfortunately, while they're crossing the desert, their mother dies, so they have to make the rest of the journey alone. And despite what you might expect from the premise, they actually reach the underground bunker fairly early on, and the rest of the story is about daily life, gathering resources, and getting into contact with reptiles. Now, Inostrancevia is a Gorgonopsian, which I only learned existed a few months ago, but I just think they're really cool. They were like saber-toothed tigers, but they were before dinosaurs, and I wish that part of prehistory got more recognition. Like, I know it was in an episode of Primeval, but like the only work of fiction I can think of that is set primarily in the Paleozoic is Walking with Monsters, which A, isn't exactly fiction, and B, is a bit cheesy, to be honest. Like, the cliffhanger ending of episode 1 is one of the most unintentionally funny things I've ever seen. So I think there's a gap in the market for works of fiction set during this time. And originally I envisioned this as a video game, specifically like a turn-based strategy, before I realised I had no idea how to program one, so I thought I might as well make this something that's more feasible for me to make. Of course, I'm more of a writing person than an art person, so it's taken me many attempts to get an Inostrancevia design that looks good, because they have very strangely shaped heads. They've got very square snouts and basically like no forehead. It's just flat all the way from their nose to the end of their head, pretty much. They don't have large brain cases. Like, usually tutorials for drawing mammal heads basically tell you to draw a circle and then draw a rectangle for the snout, but obviously I couldn't do that here because it wouldn't look like what they're supposed to. And they also have very prominent canine teeth, but I've read somewhere that they'd be hidden when their mouths are closed, which is why you can't see them in this picture. And I suppose I should introduce you to the main characters. Here I'm drawing Medi, who's honestly kind of a terrible person. She's very assertive and outright hostile towards strangers, especially reptiles, and she's quite dismissive of others' feelings, but at the same time she's not totally unlikable because she's very protective of her younger brother User, and User is a bit of a softie, and I haven't gotten around to drawing him yet. And I'm honestly just new to the world of drawing comics, so if anyone has like any advice or tutorials they could show me, I'd greatly appreciate that. And the reason why I want to get this published as a graphic novel and not a webcomic, if you're wondering, is because honestly I just keep losing track of webcomics because I just have it open in one tab on my phone for ages, and then I eventually just decide to close it and then lose track of where I am. And I also kind of want to only publish this once I've got it all finished, so I don't end up leaving an unfinished product, because that would be kind of disappointing. In this particular picture, it takes me a while to get the shading right because I wanted to do it in a way that actually conveys that these have fur. Now, there isn't much strong evidence for or against Gorgonopsians having fur, but I thought they looked better with it, and I also want to make their designs emphasise the fact that these are not reptiles. If you use the phrase mammal-like reptile, I will come to your house and eat all your crisps, because it's not accurate. And that's also why she has a dog nose and those spots are supposed to be whiskers. Let's see, what else? And also, like, I've tried to convey her personality a bit in her design, which is why her mouth is curved in a way that looks like a frown, and why she's got very triangular eyes, cold blue irises, because she's a very cold and rough character. I also haven't decided what her full body should look like yet. I previously attempted to draw her with stripes, but I just couldn't get it to look good. So that's about it, really. That's all I really have to say about this graphic novel idea. But I also should mention that I prefer to draw things on paper and then go over them digitally, because I find it easier to draw with pencil first, because it doesn't feel like I have a very steady hand when I do digital art. So if I have a reference for me to go over, that makes it easier for me. Anyway, I hope you find this idea interesting, and until next time, stay interesting!